What would you do if the person you loved most, the one you gave everything to, turned on you? What if the one you trusted to catch you when the world fell apart was the one who pushed you over the edge? This is my story, a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and the unexpected strength of a woman who refused to stay broken. I used to be full of dreams, full of hope. But now, when I look in the mirror, I barely recognize the woman staring back. She's been worn down by mistakes, by regret. But she's not weak. She found strength in the rubble. Because when you're pushed to the wall, that's when you find out who you really are. And I was done being a victim. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. One night changed everything. Left standing in the snow, abandoned on the one day that meant the most to my family, I made a choice. It would be the last time. Let me show you what happened when I took my life back. And trust me, you won't believe how far I went. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment to tell me where you're watching from. Let's dive in. This is a story you won't forget. Christmas Eve. I had always imagined it to be a time for family. A time when the world softened, when the harshness of reality could be left outside the door. I spent so many years decorating the house, baking cookies, making sure everything was perfect. I wanted Emma to have a childhood filled with memories of warmth, of love. I wanted her to feel the magic of Christmas, just as I did when I was young. But that night, everything I had built for us, everything I had given, shattered in a way I never expected. The evening had started off just like any other Christmas Eve. I spent the day preparing dinner, picking out the perfect tree, wrapping the last of the presents. The smell of roasted turkey filled the house, and the soft glow of the Christmas lights made everything seem peaceful, serene. Emma hadn't been home much in recent weeks, but I wasn't worried. She was always busy with her friends, doing whatever it was she did. I had told myself that she would be here for dinner, that we would sit around the table like we always had. But that night, as I put the final touches on the table, I heard the front door slam. I looked up, my heart rising in my chest. Emma was home, and something about the way she entered the house made the air feel thicker. She didn't greet me, didn't even smile. She walked right past the tree, not even sparing it a glance, and headed straight for the stairs. "Emma?" I called after her, my voice trembling slightly. "Dinner's almost ready. Can you help me set the table?" She didn't respond. I was used to her silent treatment by now, but there was something different in the way she was acting tonight. I felt a knot tightening in my stomach as I walked towards the stairs. "Emma," I said again, standing at the bottom of the stairs. "What's going on? Why aren't you talking to me?" She finally turned, and when I saw her face, I felt the breath leave my lungs. Her eyes, usually so full of life, were cold, empty. She looked like a stranger. "Don't start, Mom," she said, her voice flat, emotionless. "I'm not in the mood for one of your lectures today." I stood there, stunned, trying to process her words. Lectures? I had only asked her to join me for Christmas dinner, to be a family, to spend time together. But Emma, with her arms crossed and a look of defiance on her face, was already shutting me out. I tried to stay calm, to keep the anger from rising. I had always been the one to give in, to smooth things over when she pushed me away. But tonight, something inside me snapped. "Emma," I said, my voice firm, though it shook with the weight of everything I had been holding back. "I've spent years giving everything I have for you. I've given up my own happiness, my dreams, just so you could have the world. And this is how you treat me?" Her eyes flickered with something. Was it guilt? Regret? No, it was just anger. Anger at me. Always anger. "You don't get it, Mom," she spat, stepping down the stairs, her voice rising. "You think everything's about you. You think you've sacrificed so much, but I'm the one who has to live with you breathing down my neck all the time. You've been controlling my whole life, telling me what to do, how to live, what to think. I'm done with it." My chest tightened as her words hit me like a physical blow. Controlling? I wasn't controlling her. I was trying to protect her, trying to keep her from making the same mistakes I made. But no matter how hard I tried, it was never enough for her. I could see the years of resentment spilling out of her now, years I hadn't even known existed. "You don't understand," I whispered, more to myself than to her. "I've only ever wanted what's best for you, Emma." She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Best for me? You've never once asked what I wanted. You've always tried to shape me into what you think I should be. But I'm not you, Mom. I'm not your little doll to dress up and control." My heart broke. She was right. I had tried to protect her from everything, from the world, from the pain that I had gone through. But in doing that, I had smothered her. I had failed her in ways I couldn't even begin to understand. "You've never given me a chance," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You've never even tried to see what I was doing, why I was trying so hard." Emma turned away from me, walking toward the door. "I don't need you to do anything anymore," she said, her voice cold, final. "I'm done." Before I could say another word, she grabbed her jacket and headed for the door. "Emma, wait," I called, my feet moving before my mind could catch up. "Where are you going?" But she didn't stop. She didn't look back. "Out," she said, and the door slammed shut behind her, leaving me standing in the hallway, my heart shattering in my chest. That was it. My daughter, my flesh and blood, had kicked me out. On Christmas Eve, the one night I thought could bring us together. And in that instant, I understood what she was saying without saying it at all. I wasn't wanted. Not by her. Not anymore. I stood there in the empty house, my chest heaving with anger, heartbreak, and something I hadn't felt in years. The undeniable sting of betrayal. The door slammed behind Emma, and for a moment, I stood there, frozen in the silence that followed. I couldn't breathe. My body felt like it was on fire, betrayed, discarded, and hollowed out all at once. How had it come to this? How had the love I gave so freely, the sacrifices I made, turned into such a devastating rejection? I didn't know how long I stood there, but eventually, the pain in my chest became too much to bear. I staggered to the living room, the smell of Christmas dinner still heavy in the air, a cruel reminder of what we were supposed to be celebrating. I collapsed onto the couch, my hands trembling as I tried to process everything that had just happened. It wasn't just a holiday fight. It wasn't just about a ruined Christmas. No, this had been building for years. I had been the punching bag for too long. I thought back to the countless arguments, the endless misunderstandings, the nights where Emma had closed herself off from me completely. I had always told myself that it was just a phase, that she was just a teenager, and that she would eventually see how much I cared for her. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just her age. It was something deeper. Something I hadn't wanted to admit. It wasn't just her pushing me away. It was me pushing her too, in my own way. Every time I tried to help her, to guide her, to make her see the world through my eyes, I suffocated her. I thought I was protecting her, but I was controlling her. I was so wrapped up in what I wanted for her, I never stopped to listen to what she needed from me. I didn't let her make her own choices, her own mistakes. I thought if I just kept doing everything for her, everything would be okay. But I had been wrong. So wrong. Emma had grown into someone I didn't recognize. She used to be so full of life, so full of hope. I saw it in her eyes when she was a little girl, when she would run to me for comfort after a bad day, when we would laugh together, share secrets. But over time, she began to push me away. She stopped coming to me for advice, stopped seeking my approval. Her world became smaller, and I felt myself being shut out, piece by piece. The worst part was that I didn't know how to fix it. Every time I tried to bridge the gap, every time I tried to reach out, I only pushed her further away. She became resentful, bitter, angry. And as her anger grew, so did the distance between us. I had tried to be the good mother, the one who always did what was best for her. But somewhere along the way, I lost sight of what she truly needed. And instead of seeing that, I kept pushing, kept trying to mold her into something she didn't want to be. I had forgotten that she was her own person, someone who had the right to make mistakes, to choose her own path. And now, here I was, alone in the house we had built together, the echoes of her anger still ringing in my ears. This wasn't just a fight. This was the end of something. The end of the woman I used to be. The end of the mother I thought I was. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something new. I left that night, my heart heavy, my mind racing. There was no more fighting, no more pleading. Just the sound of my own footsteps echoing down the empty street, and the harsh reality of the world closing in around me. I had nowhere to go. The cold air bit at my skin, sharp and unforgiving. I wrapped my coat tighter around me, but it did little to shield me from the chill that crept into my bones. Every breath I took felt like it was suffocating me. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going, or even how I was going to survive. All I knew was that I couldn't stay. Not after what Emma had done. Not after the way she had tossed me aside like I was nothing. The tears were gone now, replaced by a hollow emptiness, a numbness that was somehow worse. I felt like I was walking through a nightmare, but every step I took felt real. I didn't understand it. I had spent so many years giving her everything. Every ounce of my love, every moment of my time, every sacrifice I made was for her. And this is how she repaid me? By slamming the door on my face? By telling me she was done? My chest tightened, and for a moment, I wanted to turn around and go back. I wanted to knock on the door, beg her to understand, beg her to take me back. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. I couldn't let her break me again. Not this time. So I kept walking. The streetlights flickered as I made my way down the sidewalk, my feet dragging with each step. The city was quiet. Too quiet. It felt like I was the only person alive in the world. And in a way, I was. My life, the one I had built with Emma, was gone. Everything I had worked for, everything I had sacrificed, had been torn away in an instant. I had been the victim for too long. For years, I had been the one who gave, the one who sacrificed, the one who bent over backward to make everyone else happy. But Emma had shown me just how little that mattered. And now, I was free. Free from the chains of a relationship that had slowly been suffocating me. Free from the constant weight of expectations, of being the one to fix everything. But that freedom came at a price. I didn't know what I was going to do, where I would sleep tonight, or how I would survive. But something deep inside me told me I had made the right choice. For the first time in years, I wasn't answering to anyone. I wasn't living for someone else. I was living for me. The wind howled through the trees, and I wrapped my arms tighter around myself, not for warmth, but for strength. I didn't have a home. I didn't have Emma. But I had something now that I hadn't had in a long time. Freedom. It was terrifying, and it hurt like hell. But it was mine, and I wasn't going to let anyone take it from me again. Alone in my new apartment, the silence was deafening. It pressed in on me from all sides, an oppressive weight that I couldn't shake. The walls, bare and cold, seemed to mock me with their emptiness. I had spent so many years filling a house with life, laughter, love, the sound of my daughter's footsteps down the hallway. But now, all I had was this sterile space, a lonely echo of a life I had once shared with Emma. Emma was out there somewhere, living her life without me. She was probably at some party, laughing with her friends, living the way she wanted. She didn't care about me anymore. She had made that perfectly clear. But still, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I couldn't stop wondering if she ever thought about me, if she ever regretted what she'd done. I pulled my phone from my pocket, staring at it for a moment before unlocking the screen. There were no messages, no calls. I scrolled through my contacts, my finger hovering over her name. I should call her. I should check on her, make sure she's okay. But something inside me held me back. She didn't need me. Not anymore. I put the phone down, trying to shake the feeling that I was waiting for something that would never come. I wasn't her mother anymore. At least not in the way I used to be. She had cast me aside, and I had to accept that. The thought twisted in my stomach, but I pushed it away. I could still hear her voice in my head, her words cutting through me like a blade. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had been too controlling. Maybe I had tried to protect her so much that I had suffocated her. I had always thought I was doing what was best for her, but maybe I had missed the mark entirely. The anger that had simmered inside me over the years started to bubble to the surface. She had never understood. She had never understood what I had sacrificed for her, what I had given up to give her a life better than the one I had known. I had spent so many years trying to fix everything, trying to protect her from the world. But maybe, in the end, I had only made it worse. The silence in the apartment felt louder now, like it was echoing in my head. I grabbed my coat and went to the window, looking out at the city below. The lights twinkled in the distance, but they felt so far away. Emma was out there, living her life. She was moving on. And here I was, stuck in this empty apartment, haunted by the past and the pieces of a life I couldn't put back together. I tried to convince myself that I had made the right choice, that I had walked away for a reason. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. The anger that had simmered inside me for years began to rise. It started as a spark, a flicker of rage that I had pushed down every time Emma lashed out, every time she rejected me, every time she made me feel like I wasn't worth anything. But this time, I wasn't going to bury it. This time, I was going to let it burn. I wasn't just going to let Emma destroy me. No, I was going to destroy her. But not in the way she expected. I wasn't going to throw her out or scream at her. That wouldn't be enough. I was going to take everything from her, piece by piece, until she realized just how much she had relied on me. How much she had taken from me without ever appreciating it. How much I had given, and how little she had ever given back. The first step? Cutting off every last shred of financial support. No more bills, no more luxury, no more safety net. She had taken everything I had given her for granted, and it was time she learned what it felt like to stand on her own. To struggle like I had struggled. To fight for every little thing like I had fought for her whole life. I sat down at the kitchen table, my hands shaking as I pulled out my phone. I wasn't sure how I was going to do this, but I knew it had to be done. I had to hit the reset button, not just for her, but for me. I was done being the one who fixed everything. I was done being her lifeline. The first call was to the electric company. I had paid her bills for years, kept the lights on, kept her comfortable, made sure she didn't have to worry about the little things. But now she was on her own. "Hello, this is Marlene Roberts. I need to cancel the service at my daughter's address," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My heart was pounding in my chest, but I couldn't let it show. I wasn't going to back down. The operator on the other end hesitated. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Are you sure you want to cancel the service? We'll need to confirm with the account holder." "No," I snapped. "I'm the account holder, and I want it shut off. Now." There was a long pause before the operator responded. "Understood, ma'am. The service will be disconnected immediately." I hung up the phone without a second thought, my chest tightening with a strange sense of satisfaction. The first domino had fallen, but there was more. So much more. Next, I called the cable company, the internet provider, the insurance company. Each call was a small victory. Each call was another piece of her life that I was taking back. But as I went through the list of companies, as I cut off her access to the things she had come to rely on, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt. Was I going too far? Was this really the right thing to do? And then I thought about everything I had given up. Everything I had sacrificed for her. The nights I stayed up late working to make sure she had everything she needed. The days I put my own dreams on hold to be there for her, to make her life easier. And what had she done? She had kicked me out of the house. She had thrown me away like I was nothing. This wasn't about guilt. This was about taking control. About making her realize the cost of her actions. She couldn't just walk all over me anymore. She needed to see that I wasn't going to be her punching bag anymore. She needed to feel the consequences of her choices. As the days passed, I watched as Emma's world began to unravel. I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I didn't try to check in. This was her battle to fight now. I didn't need to be the one to fix it. I saw the signs before she did. Her car was repossessed. Her phone was shut off. Her electricity went out. I could only imagine the panic she was feeling, the fear creeping in as she realized that the life she had built, the comfort she had come to rely on, was gone. I didn't care. This was her lesson. She needed to see how much she had taken from me, how much I had sacrificed for her. She needed to learn that nothing came for free. One night, about a week after I had cut off everything, my phone rang. I recognized the number. It was Emma. "Mom, what did you do?" she demanded, her voice full of frustration and panic. "I can't get my car back. I can't pay my bills. What the hell is going on?" I could hear the desperation in her voice, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "You can't get your car back? You can't pay your bills? I'm sorry, Emma, but it's time you learn how to take care of yourself. You wanted to be free of me, remember? Well, now you are. I'm done fixing everything for you." She fell silent, the weight of my words settling in. I could hear her breath catch, but she didn't respond. For a moment, all I heard was the sound of her struggling to find words. Finally, she spoke. "Mom, please, I don't know what to do. You've always been there to fix it. I thought you always would be." I let out a small, bitter laugh. "Well, I'm not here anymore, Emma. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. I gave you everything. But you've made it clear that you don't need me. You don't need anyone. So go ahead. Prove it." I hung up before she could say anything else. I felt a strange satisfaction, a relief that I had never felt before. It was the first time in a long time that I had taken control of my life. Emma had pushed me too far. Now, it was time to let her face the consequences. And I was going to watch. I was going to watch her unravel, piece by piece, just like she had done to me. Days turned into weeks, and Emma's world came crashing down around her. It wasn't just her apartment that was slipping through her fingers. It was everything. Her life, the one she had once taken for granted, was slowly unraveling, piece by piece. The missed rent payments turned into eviction notices. The electricity shut off. Her car sat in the parking lot, repossessed, leaving her stranded. And still, she didn't understand. She didn't realize that she was living the consequences of her own choices, her own betrayal. It didn't take long for her to start calling. At first, they were just messages, texts, frantic and pleading, asking me to come back, to fix things. "Mom, please, I'm sorry," the first one said. "I don't know how to do this. I need you. Please, I'll make it right." I read the message, my heart doing that thing where it broke just a little. I wanted to reach out, to hold her, to tell her everything would be okay. But I didn't. I couldn't. I couldn't be the one to fix her anymore. The woman who had once been my entire world, the little girl who had needed me, was now a stranger, and I had to remind myself that I wasn't the one who had made that choice. The phone rang the next day, and I let it ring until it stopped. When I checked the voicemail, her voice cracked, raw with emotion. "Mom, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. Everything's falling apart. Please help me." The ache in my chest was unbearable, but I didn't call back. I couldn't. Every time I thought about reaching out, I remembered that night. I remembered the way she had kicked me out, the way she had made me feel like I was nothing. I had given her everything, and she had repaid me with abandonment. She called again, and again, each time more desperate, more broken. "I'm sorry," she cried once, her voice shaking with the weight of regret. "I didn't mean it. Please, Mom, I was wrong. I can't do this without you. I need you. I'm sorry for everything. Please come back." I watched from afar as her life continued to crumble. She couldn't get another job because she had no car, no money to get one. She couldn't pay her bills, and every day I could see her desperation growing. Her friends began to fade away, just like I had known they would. People like to be around others when things are good, but when things go bad, they scatter. And Emma had no one left to lean on. And still, I stayed silent. I stayed strong. As much as the mother in me wanted to take her in, wanted to fix it all for her, I knew that this was the price she had to pay. She had to learn how to stand on her own. The calls became more frequent, but I wasn't moved. The first few, I let go to voicemail, each message more desperate than the last. "Mom, please. I'm sorry. I need your help. I don't know what to do." The words bled through the silence of my apartment, but I didn't flinch. It had been a week since I'd cut her off, and already I could see the toll it was taking. Emma was running out of options, out of people to turn to, and that terrified her. But it didn't scare me anymore. Her pride wouldn't let her reach out to anyone else, not even her father, and certainly not her friends. She had burned so many bridges over the years, pushing everyone away in her need to be independent. Now, with no safety net, she was crashing. And I watched it happen from afar, the way her world slowly spiraled out of control, a mess of unpaid bills, broken promises, and missed opportunities. There was a part of me that wanted to cave in, to tell her everything would be okay, to fix it all like I had always done. But I knew better now. The woman who had spent years bending over backward, giving, sacrificing, was gone. She was buried beneath the weight of too many broken promises and too much hurt. "I'm sorry, Emma," I said, my voice colder than I meant it to be. "You're going to have to figure this out on your own." "Mom." Her voice cracked. "Please, you're the only one I can rely on. I can't do this without you." "You've always relied on me," I said, cutting her off, the bitterness creeping into my words. "I've done everything for you, Emma. I gave you everything I had, and this is how you repay me? You pushed me away. You made me feel like I wasn't enough, like I didn't matter." There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing, the ragged sound of someone who had finally realized the weight of their actions. I didn't mean it, she whispered, barely audible. I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong. I wanted to say something, anything, that would ease the pain in her voice. But the truth was, I didn't know if I could forgive her. Not yet. Not when she had hurt me so badly. I can't help you, Emma, I said, my voice steady now, the decision final. You're on your own. The silence stretched between us before she finally spoke again, her words clipped. I hate you for doing this. I know, I replied, but you'll thank me one day. I hung up without another word. It wasn't long before Emma hit rock bottom. I watched it unfold from a distance, her apartment gone, her car taken, the little luxuries she had grown used to slipping away one by one. I knew it was coming. I had seen the signs long before she realized she was in free fall. But still, when it happened, there was something cold inside me that didn't feel a shred of sympathy. She had made her choices, and now she had to live with them. Her first call after the eviction came a few days later. Her voice was barely recognizable, hoarse and broken. Mom, She stopped, as though she didn't know where to begin. I lost the apartment. They kicked me out. I didn't answer right away. I wasn't going to rush in to save her. Not this time. And what do you want me to do about it, Emma? I finally asked, my voice low, calm. I don't know, she said quickly. I need a place to stay. Please, I have nowhere to go. Can you just help me? Just this once? The words hit me like a slap. Just this once. She had never understood, had she? That's all it ever was for her, me, always there when things went wrong, always the one who picked up the pieces. But she didn't care about the years I spent trying to keep her life together, about the sacrifices I made for her. It was just help me, just fix this. I stood up, my hands shaking with anger. You pushed me away, Emma. You made it clear that you didn't need me. You chose this. You chose to turn your back on me, to treat me like I wasn't worth anything. Now you want me to pick up the pieces again? She was silent for a long time, and I could almost hear the wheels turning in her head, trying to find something, anything, to say that would make me feel sorry for her. I'm sorry, she whispered, so softly that I almost didn't catch it. I know I've messed up. I know I've hurt you. But please, Mom. I'm scared. For the first time, I felt something close to pity for her. But then I remembered everything she had done to me, the way she had kicked me out, the way she had treated me like I was an inconvenience. I wasn't going to be her safety net anymore. I wasn't going to let her pull me back into her mess just because she had finally realized how badly she had screwed up. I can't help you, Emma, I said, my voice steady, final. You need to figure this out on your own. There was a long, painful silence on the other end. I waited, but she didn't say anything. I didn't expect her to. She had always been the one who wanted everything handed to her, without ever lifting a finger. And now that the world had stopped catering to her, she was crumbling. But it wasn't my problem. Not anymore. The phone call ended, and I stood there, staring at the floor. A part of me was screaming to call her back, to give her a place to stay, to just make it better for her. But I knew that if I did, I would only be reinforcing the pattern. I wasn't doing her any favors by saving her. I wasn't teaching her anything. The phone stayed silent after a while. She didn't reach out again, and I didn't care. The Emma I knew, the one who once needed me, was gone. And in her place, there was a woman who had chosen to face the consequences of her choices alone. I didn't feel sorry for her, not one bit. One cold evening, after weeks of suffering in silence, Emma called me. I didn't recognize the number at first, and for a split second, I thought about ignoring it, letting it go to voicemail like I had been doing. But something inside me made me answer. I didn't know if it was curiosity or if I just needed to hear her voice one last time. "Hello?" I said, my voice calm, almost detached. "Mom." Her voice was shaky, so unlike the confident, defiant tone she had used in the past. There was a crack in it now, the first crack in the armor she had worn so proudly for so long. I don't know what to do." I sat up straighter, my heart giving an involuntary twist. I hadn't heard that tone in her voice in years. Fear. Genuine, raw fear. The kind of fear that came from facing the consequences of your own actions. "I don't know where to go," she continued, her words coming out in a rush, like she was trying to keep it together but couldn't. "I don't have anyone else. I don't have anything left, Mom. Please." I took a deep breath, steadying myself, my mind racing with all the things I wanted to say to her. I wanted to remind her of the nights she had pushed me away, of all the times I had sacrificed my own happiness for hers. But I stayed silent, waiting for her to speak. "I've lost everything," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "The apartment, the car, all my friends. I don't know how to fix this." I could hear the desperation in her voice, the weight of her mistakes finally crashing down on her. But there was nothing I could do to save her anymore. I had spent so many years being the one to fix things, to make everything better. But now, she was going to have to face the consequences. She needed to learn. "Emma," I said, my voice low and steady, "I can't fix this for you. I can't be your savior anymore." There was a long pause, and I could almost feel the air between us grow thicker with every second. I could hear her breathing, shallow and uneven, as if she was trying to hold it together. But I wasn't going to cave. Not this time. "I know I've messed up," she finally said, her words almost breaking. "I was wrong. I never understood before. I never saw what you did for me, how much you sacrificed. But I don't know how to make it right now." I wanted to say something, to reach out, to tell her that everything would be okay. But I couldn't. I couldn't forgive her that easily. She had done so much damage, not just to me, but to herself. I had spent years watching her push everyone away, watching her choose pride over humility, and now she was asking for help when it was too late. "Emma," I said, my voice thick but firm, "you've had every opportunity to make things right. You had every chance to come to me before, to ask for help when you still had time. But you pushed me away. You pushed me out of your life. Now, you have to face the consequences of that." "I didn't know how," she whispered, her voice broken, a sob barely concealed in the quiet of her words. "I didn't know how to say it, how to ask for help. I thought I could do it on my own, but I was wrong. Please, Mom, don't leave me like this." The rawness in her voice cut through me, but I stood my ground. I wasn't her crutch anymore. She had to learn to walk on her own. "I'm not leaving you, Emma," I said, the words coming out more gently than I intended. "But I can't be the one to save you anymore. I can't keep picking up the pieces. You've got to figure this out for yourself. It's time to grow up." I heard a soft sniffle on the other end, but I didn't respond. I wasn't sure what else there was to say. The silence between us felt different now, heavy, laden with everything we had both failed to say before. It was the silence of realization, the silence of finality. "I'll figure it out," she said finally, her voice small. "I'll fix it. I'll make it right." I didn't believe her. Not yet. But I didn't need to. She would figure it out, just as I had figured out how to survive without her, without the constant weight of her expectations. And maybe, one day, she would understand why I had to let her go. The line went dead, And for the first time in a long time, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't relief. It wasn't forgiveness. It was something else, something that felt like a door closing. A door I had opened too many times for her, only to have her slam it in my face. Now, that door was closed, and it was the right thing to do. The power had shifted. I could feel it in the air, in the way I walked through my days now, with my head held high. I no longer begged for her love, her respect, or her approval. I had spent years chasing her, bending over backward to make sure she had everything she wanted, doing whatever it took to make her happy. But I was done. I had learned the hard way that love, when it's one-sided, is nothing but a chain. And now, the chain was broken. I was the one with the power now. Emma had no idea how much it would cost her to keep pushing me away. She thought she could live without me, thought that I would always be there to pick up the pieces when she needed me. But she was wrong. So wrong. She had been too stubborn, too proud to admit that she needed me, and now she had no choice but to watch her life fall apart. The phone calls had stopped for the most part. She still sent messages, but I ignored them. They were just empty words, apologies she didn't mean, pleas I didn't believe. But the silence between us? It was deafening. And that was exactly what I wanted. It wasn't until one afternoon, weeks after our last conversation, that she showed up at my door. I didn't know what to expect when I heard the knock. Maybe she would beg me to take her in. Maybe she would cry and tell me how sorry she was. Or maybe, just maybe, she would finally admit how much she had wronged me. I didn't know. But I was ready for whatever came. I opened the door, and there she was. Her eyes were red, her hair unkempt, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. But I didn't flinch. I didn't feel sorry for her. I wasn't that woman anymore. "Mom," she said, her voice shaky, eyes pleading. "I need your help. Please." I didn't say anything at first. I just looked at her, letting the silence stretch between us. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for her to apologize. I wasn't waiting for her to come crawling back. No, this time, I held all the cards, and I was going to make sure she knew it. "I can't help you, Emma," I said, my voice steady, unwavering. "You made your choices. You pushed me away when I was the only one who ever truly cared. Now you have to face the consequences." Her face twisted with frustration. "You don't understand, Mom. I've lost everything. I don't have a place to stay. I have no job, no money. Please, I need you. I don't know who else to turn to." "I'm sorry, Emma," I said, leaning against the doorframe, crossing my arms over my chest. "You've made your bed. Now you lie in it." She stepped closer, her eyes desperate. "Please, Mom. Please. I can't do this. I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong. I know I treated you like crap, but I was scared. I didn't know how to ask for help." Her voice cracked, and I could see the tears welling in her eyes. A part of me wanted to reach out, to comfort her. But I held myself back. I couldn't go back. Not after everything she had done. Not after everything I had sacrificed for her, only for her to toss it aside without a second thought. "I'm not your safety net anymore, Emma," I said, my voice hard. "You had your chance to come to me. You had your chance to fix things. Now you deal with it. You wanted to be independent? This is what that looks like." She stood there, her face crumpling as she tried to process my words. For the first time, I saw the real Emma, the scared, broken girl beneath the mask of arrogance and pride. But it didn't matter. She had chosen this path, and now she was going to walk it alone. "You think I want this?" she whispered, her voice filled with pain. "You think I wanted to end up like this?" I didn't answer right away. I let the silence speak for me. She had done this to herself. She had made her choices, and now she had to live with them. Finally, I spoke. No, Emma, you didn't want this. But this is the price of betrayal, the price of pushing people away when they love you. The words hit her like a slap, and she took a step back, her face pale. She opened her mouth to say something, but no words came. She had nothing left to say to me. Goodbye, Emma, I said quietly, and I closed the door in her face. For the first time, I felt no guilt, no remorse, just a quiet satisfaction that I had taken control back. Desperation led Emma to a new low. I had never seen her like this before. She came to me, broken, crying in a way I hadn't heard in years. I opened the door to find her standing there, eyes swollen and red from crying, her clothes disheveled, as if the world had finally crushed her beneath its weight. She looked like the little girl I used to know, the one who would come running to me for comfort, for safety. But this wasn't the same girl. This was someone who had used me, discarded me, and now, when everything fell apart, she thought I would be there to pick up the pieces again. Mom, please, she sobbed, her voice a hollow echo of the prideful girl I had known. I can't do this anymore. I'm so sorry. I've lost everything. I don't know where else to go. I'm begging you. I stood there in the doorway, watching her break down in front of me. It was almost too easy to feel sympathy for her, almost too easy to let my heart soften, to hear her words and want to make it all better. But I couldn't. I had done that for years, and where had it gotten me? Betrayed, discarded, left in the dust. No more. This time, I wasn't falling for it. What do you want me to do, Emma? I asked, my voice cold and steady, like ice running through my veins. You pushed me out of your life. You pushed me away when I was the only one who cared about you. And now, after everything you've done, you think I'm just going to let you walk back into my life? Her sobs were almost uncontrollable now, her body shaking with the weight of her regret. Please, Mom, I was wrong. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. Please forgive me. I can't pay my rent. I haven't eaten in days. I'm so hungry. Please help me. I don't know what else to do. The words hit me, but I didn't let them move me. She had taken everything for granted, including my love. Now, she was trying to manipulate me with her tears, trying to make me feel guilty for her mess. But I wasn't going to play that game anymore. You want me to help you? I said, my voice hardening. You want my help after everything you've done to me? After you kicked me out of your house? After you treated me like I was nothing? I gave you everything, Emma. I gave you my time, my love, my life, and you threw it all away. Now you want me to fix it? I'm not your savior. Her face twisted with pain, and I could see the regret in her eyes. But I wasn't moved. Not this time. I was scared, Mom, she said through her tears. I didn't know how to handle everything. I was so angry at you, but I never meant to hurt you. Please, I don't have anyone else. I know you don't have anyone else, I said, each word cutting through her like a blade. That's the point. You burned every bridge you had. You alienated the people who loved you, and now you're here, at my doorstep, begging for help. But I'm done being your fallback, Emma. I'm done being the one you come to when everything falls apart. You made your bed, now you lie in it. Her sobs grew louder, but I didn't flinch. I couldn't. I had spent too many years letting her manipulate me, letting her make me feel like I was the problem. But I wasn't the problem. She was. She had made her choices, and now she was going to face the consequences of those choices. Please, Mom, she whispered through her tears. I'm sorry. Please don't let me go through this alone. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words settle in my chest. but I didn't let it break me. You're not alone, Emma, I said softly, but with finality. You have to stand on your own 2 feet now. I'm not going to fix this for you. You're going to have to figure it out, just like I had to figure it out when you pushed me away. She looked at me, her eyes pleading, but I could see it now. She was broken, but not in the way she wanted me to think. She wasn't just broken because she was hungry or homeless. She was broken because she had lost the one person who had always been there for her, the one person who had always believed in her. And now, there was nothing left. No more manipulation. No more second chances. I'm sorry, I said, turning to close the door. But I can't help you. Not anymore. And with that, I shut the door on the past, on the woman she used to be, and on the hope that she might ever truly change. The worst part wasn't her struggle. It was the way she thought she could manipulate me one last time. I had seen it in her eyes before, the desperation, the helplessness that she only seemed to show when she realized she had nowhere left to turn. But this time, she didn't get to manipulate me. Not anymore. It was just after dark when she showed up again. I heard the knock on my door, hesitant at first, then more insistent. I knew it was her before I even opened it. I had been expecting this. She had nowhere left to go, and she knew I was the only person who might take her back in. I opened the door slowly, and there she stood, her face a mix of exhaustion and pride, the same girl who had kicked me out all those months ago. She looked different, though, smaller somehow, weaker, like a shell of the person she had once been. But I wasn't moved. I had learned too much in the past weeks to feel any sympathy for her now. Mom, she began, her voice low and trembling, as if she wasn't sure how to start. I can't do this. I can't survive without you. I need you. I didn't invite her in. I just stood there, staring at her. The words she was speaking, the ones she thought would make me feel guilty, didn't have the power they used to. I had been down this road too many times to fall for it now. Why? I asked flatly. Why should I help you? After everything you've done, after everything you've put me through. You thought you could do this on your own, remember? You didn't want me in your life then. You didn't need me, and now you expect me to drop everything and fix your mess? Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't flinch. I didn't move a muscle. You don't understand, Mom, she said, her voice rising now, desperate. I can't make it without you. I can't live like this. Please, I'm begging you. I made a mistake. I know I did. But I need you. I can't survive without you. The words echoed in my mind, but they didn't pull at my heartstrings like they used to. I can't survive without you. She had said it before, but the truth was, she had never learned how to survive without me. I had always been there to catch her when she fell, to fix everything for her, to clean up the messes she made. But I wasn't doing that anymore. Listen to me, Emma, I said, my voice cutting through the air like a knife. I've spent years cleaning up your messes, taking care of you, sacrificing myself for you. And where has it gotten me? Nowhere. I've been your safety net for far too long, and I'm done. You want to survive? You want to live? Then you do it. You deal with your consequences. You face the reality of what you've done. She stepped forward, her face twisted with frustration. You're just going to leave me here? To rot? To lose everything I have? Her words hit me, but they didn't break me. Why would I help you? I said, my voice quiet but firm. You've shown me time and time again that you don't care about me. You've taken everything I've given you for granted, and now you want me to fix it all? It doesn't work that way, Emma. You've burned every bridge you had. I'm not your crutch anymore. I'm not the one who's going to save you. She opened her mouth to argue, but I held up my hand to stop her. "Number, you don't get to guilt trip me into helping you. Not anymore. You made your choices, and now you live with them. It's time for you to grow up, Emma." The tears that had been welling up in her eyes finally fell, but it wasn't enough to make me change my mind. Not this time. Not after everything. She stared at me for a long moment, her expression a mixture of disbelief and anger. But mostly, I saw fear. Fear that she had lost me for good. Fear that she had pushed me too far, and that there was no coming back from this. "You're really going to turn your back on me?" she whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't answer her. I didn't have to. The silence said everything. "I'm sorry, Emma," I said softly. "But you're on your own now." I closed the door gently, locking it behind me. There was no relief in my chest, no sense of victory. There was just a deep, painful ache, the kind that comes from knowing you've done the right thing, even when it feels like the hardest thing you've ever had to do. But I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. I wasn't going to let her break me down with her tears and her guilt. This was her fight now, and she had to face it on her own. For the first time in a long time, I knew I had made the right choice. And somehow, I found the strength to walk away. As Emma's life spiraled further out of control, the guilt that had once haunted me started to fade. I used to feel like I had failed her, like it was my responsibility to shield her from the harshness of the world. For years I had tried to protect her, to shelter her from every bad decision, every consequence. I thought that if I loved her enough, if I gave enough, it would make her life better. But now, watching her fall apart, I knew I had been wrong. She had to face the consequences of her actions, and I wasn't going to stop it. I had seen the signs, her failed attempts to get back on her feet, the way she turned to anyone but me when things got tough. The last time we spoke, I had made it clear. I wouldn't be her safety net anymore. I wouldn't be the one to fix her messes, no matter how much it broke me to watch her struggle. But still, as the days passed, I couldn't shake the images of her in my mind, how small she looked standing on my doorstep, the tears in her eyes, the desperation in her voice. Part of me wanted to go to her, to open the door and pull her back in, but I knew that would be a mistake. I had to let her fall. She had to understand that life wasn't something I could fix anymore. I couldn't keep sacrificing myself for someone who had never once truly appreciated what I had done for her. A few days later, I saw her on the street, looking disheveled, her hair wild, clothes unkempt. She was standing outside a small convenience store, pacing back and forth, talking to someone on the phone. She didn't see me at first, but when she finally looked up, her eyes locked on mine. For a moment, neither of us moved. It felt like the world had stopped, like we were suspended in some weird, twisted moment. She didn't smile. She didn't run to me. Instead, her face went pale, and I could see the realization hit her. She had tried to fix things on her own, but the weight of it all had finally crushed her. She turned away quickly, walking toward the alley behind the store, her shoulders hunched as if the world was too much to bear. I stood there, frozen in place, torn between walking away and following her, torn between doing what I knew was best and the overwhelming need to protect her. But I stayed where I was. I wasn't her savior anymore. The past few weeks had shown me that. I had tried to protect her, to give her the world, but she had turned her back on me. And now, she was paying for it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her, wondering where she was, what she was doing. I knew she had nowhere to go, no one left to turn to. The few friends she had once relied on had disappeared long ago, and her father hadn't been in the picture for years. I sat in the quiet of my apartment, the ticking of the clock the only sound filling the room. I heard my phone buzz and glanced down at the screen. It was a message from Emma. My hands shook as I opened it. "I'm sorry for everything. I know I messed up. I don't know what to do. Please help me." I stared at the message, feeling the familiar pang of guilt rise up in my chest. But I pushed it down. I couldn't go back. I couldn't be the one to fix her mistakes anymore. I had tried for so long, and where had it gotten us? Nowhere. It wasn't just about her. It was about me. It was about taking back control of my life. I didn't respond. I couldn't. The next few days passed, and the messages continued to come, each one more desperate than the last. "Please, Mom. I can't do this. I'm so sorry. I need you." I read them all, but I didn't respond. Every word she sent was just another attempt to pull me back into her mess, to make me feel like I owed her something. But I didn't owe her anything anymore. And then, one afternoon, I saw her again. This time, she wasn't on the street, but sitting on a park bench near my apartment, her head in her hands, looking broken beyond repair. She didn't see me at first, but I saw her clearly. Her face was gaunt, her clothes filthy, and her eyes were dull, as if the fight had finally left her. I took a deep breath, standing there, just watching her. I could feel the anger bubbling inside me, but it wasn't at her anymore. It was at myself. I had let her control me for so long, letting her manipulate me into thinking I was the problem. I had been so focused on fixing everything for her that I had neglected myself. I didn't approach her. I didn't move. I just stood there and watched. I could hear her sobbing softly, the sound of her grief piercing the air around me. My heart wrenched, but I didn't let it show. I didn't go to her. I didn't offer her a place to stay. Didn't offer to buy her food. Didn't offer any kind of help. I just turned around and walked back to my apartment, my heart pounding in my chest. The guilt that had haunted me for so long started to fade away with every step I took. She wasn't a child anymore. She was a grown woman, and it was time for her to face the reality of her life. I couldn't protect her from that. I sat down in the silence of my apartment, the weight of everything pressing on my chest. It hurt, yes. It hurt like hell to watch her fall apart. But I knew I couldn't save her anymore. She had to save herself. And so, I let her be. After everything had fallen apart, Emma finally came to the harsh realization that she had lost everything: her home, her independence, her pride. The life she had once taken for granted, the life I had sacrificed so much for, was now a distant memory. I could see it in her eyes the last time we crossed paths, the weight of her decisions finally sinking in, the despair that had consumed her slowly starting to take root. But it wasn't just the material things that had slipped through her fingers. It was the deeper loss, the loss of her own sense of self, her identity. And with that came the inevitable unraveling of everything she had worked so hard to build. It was painful to watch, but I had to admit, there was something inside me that didn't feel the guilt anymore. It wasn't the satisfaction I had expected, but it was something else, something colder. Emma had to face the consequences of her actions, and for the first time, I wasn't going to protect her from that. She reached out again, but this time, her tone was different. There was no more anger, no more defiance in her voice. The usual bravado that had once been her shield was gone. This time, when her name flashed across my phone, I hesitated before answering. I already knew what I would hear before I even spoke to her. The apology, the regret, the hollow promises that things would be different this time. I wasn't sure if I could stomach it. "Mom, it's me," she said, her voice small and shaky, a stark contrast to the confident girl I had known for so long. I don't know where to start. I've made such a mess of everything. I I'm so sorry. I sat in silence for a moment, unsure of what to say. I had spent years being the one to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay, to take her in when she needed me. But not anymore. I wasn't that person anymore. Emma, I said, my voice steady, but cold. I don't need you to apologize. Not anymore. You've apologized so many times, and nothing has ever changed. Nothing has ever been different. You keep promising me things will get better, but they never do. I'm tired, Emma. I'm tired of fixing your problems. Her voice cracked on the other end, and I could hear the sobs she was trying to hold back. I know, she whispered, almost inaudible. I know. But, Mom, I've lost everything. I don't have a place to stay. I don't have a job. I don't know how to fix this. I can't do it alone. For a moment, I felt that familiar pull, the soft tug of my maternal instinct to protect her, to fix things. But I stopped myself. I had made this choice. I had chosen not to fall back into the role of her savior. I had chosen not to let her destroy me with her manipulation. And if I gave in now, I would just be reinforcing the same destructive cycle. I'm sorry, Emma, I said, my voice soft but firm. But I can't help you. Not this time. You've burned all your bridges. You pushed me away when I was the one who always had your back. And now, when you have nothing left, you think I'm going to drop everything and fix it for you? That's not how this works. There was a long silence, and I could hear her breathing heavily on the other end of the line. The sound of her heart breaking filled the space between us, but I didn't falter. Mom, please, she whispered. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't see it then, but I see it now. I was so selfish. I never understood what you did for me. I didn't know how much I was hurting you until it was too late. But I'm so sorry. I've lost everything, and I don't know what to do. I wanted to say something comforting, something that would make her feel better, but I couldn't. I couldn't lie to her. Regret doesn't fix anything. It doesn't change the past, and it sure as hell doesn't repair the damage that had been done. You had everything, Emma, I said, my voice steady, almost numb. You had my love, my support, my trust, and you threw it all away. You made choices, and now you have to live with them. I can't save you anymore. I can't keep giving when you don't even see what you've done. Her sobs were louder now, uncontrollable, as if everything she had kept buried for so long was finally spilling out. I know, she cried. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to go on. The words felt like a slap, but I wasn't going to fall for them. I wasn't going to feel sorry for her. Not anymore. You figure it out, Emma, I said, the words coming out sharper than I meant. You face the consequences of your actions. This is your life now. You made your choices. You don't get to cry to me every time things go wrong. I don't know if I can do this, she said, her voice small, broken. I don't know how to survive without you. I took a deep breath, letting the weight of her words sink in. It was the final blow, the moment she realized that the little girl she had always relied on was gone. You'll have to learn, Emma, I said, my voice softening just a little. You'll have to learn to stand on your own, and I hope you do. But I can't help you anymore. I hung up the phone before she could say anything else. The quiet that followed felt deafening. I had said everything that needed to be said, and now it was up to her. I didn't feel relieved. I didn't feel happy. I just felt empty. But I knew, deep down, that I had done the right thing. Regret didn't fix anything, and this time, neither did I. Weeks passed, and Emma still hadn't apologized. Not once. I waited for it, not because I thought it would fix anything, but because I needed to hear the words that could confirm, at least to myself, that she understood the pain she had caused. I had spent years trying to give her everything: love, comfort, protection. But now, all I had left were empty phone calls and broken promises. The phone kept ringing. Sometimes it was a text, sometimes a voicemail. "Mom, please, I need to talk." Or, "I'm sorry, but I don't know what to do. Everything is falling apart." There were moments when I thought about picking up, about listening to her cry and tell me she was sorry. But each time I stopped myself. I had heard those words before, and they meant nothing. She didn't understand. She hadn't learned anything. I found myself pacing around my apartment one night after one of her desperate messages. "Mom, I need you. I can't do this on my own. Please help me." I had heard that same line so many times, but it had lost its meaning. Emma always needed me when things got hard, when everything around her crumbled. But where was she when I needed her? Where was she when I was struggling, when I was pouring my heart and soul into everything I did for her? Where was her love, her respect, her gratitude? I stood by the window, staring out into the night, my thoughts swirling like the storm outside. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her how much she had hurt me. But the anger wasn't what I felt anymore. I felt nothing. Nothing but the weight of all the years I had wasted. The woman who had once been my everything now felt like a stranger to me. The girl I had loved so fiercely had vanished. I had spent so many nights wondering what went wrong. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I had been too hard on her. Maybe I hadn't given her enough space. Maybe I had been too protective, too controlling. But then I realized the truth. No matter what I did, no matter how much I gave, it would never have been enough. She was always going to find something to blame me for. And when it wasn't my fault, she would take it all out on me anyway. It wasn't just about the money, or the house, or even the things I had provided for her. It was the trust between us that had been shattered. I had poured my heart into our relationship, and in return, she had kicked me out of her life when I was no longer convenient to her. I had done everything to protect her from the world, to give her the life I thought she deserved. But now, all I had was a hollow shell of a relationship, and a woman who had become nothing like the girl I raised. The phone rang again, the familiar sound pulling me out of my thoughts. This time, I didn't hesitate. I picked up. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear the words that would prove she was finally understanding what had happened. I couldn't keep living in the uncertainty of it all. "Hello?" There was a long pause before Emma spoke, her voice small and trembling. "Mom, it's me." I could hear the rawness in her voice. It wasn't the same angry tone she had used before. It wasn't the defiance or bitterness. It was just defeat. And yet, despite the ache that curled deep in my chest, I wasn't moved. I had been here too many times before. "Emma," I said, my voice steady but distant. "What is it?" "I'm sorry," she whispered, her words barely audible. "I know I've hurt you. I know I've done things that I can never take back. But I'm sorry. I just want to fix this." I felt my pulse quicken, a wave of emotion crashing through me. I had waited so long for this moment, but now that it was here, I realized that it didn't matter. The words were empty. They had always been empty. I wasn't the one who needed the apology anymore. I had needed her to prove to me that she could stand on her own, that she could take responsibility for her actions. But she wasn't doing that. Not truly. "You're sorry?" I asked, my voice trembling with frustration. "Sorry for what? For everything you put me through? For the way you treated me? For the way you kicked me out of your life like I was nothing? Is that what you're sorry for?" There was silence on the other end. I could feel her hesitation, her fear, as if she knew deep down that these words weren't going to fix things. "I don't know what to say anymore, Mom," she said quietly. "I'm sorry for everything. I don't know what else to say." The ache in my chest grew, but it wasn't the ache of longing or the ache of love. It was the ache of betrayal, the ache of realizing that this was the end of something that could never be repaired. "I don't need you to say anything anymore," I replied, my voice firm but breaking. "I don't need your apology. I need you to understand what you've done, what you've taken from me. You've taken everything I had to give, and you didn't even appreciate it. You didn't even see me." Her voice cracked then, a sob escaping her. "I didn't mean to, Mom. I swear. I didn't know. I didn't know how much I was hurting you. But I can't do this anymore. I don't know where to turn. Please, I need you." I let her words hang in the air, feeling the weight of them settle around me like a shroud. She didn't get it. She didn't understand. She thought that just saying sorry would make everything better. She thought that she could come back into my life, like nothing had happened, and that I would forgive her without question. But I couldn't. Not anymore. "No, Emma," I said, my voice almost a whisper now. "You don't need me. You needed me before. You needed me when you had nothing left, when you had no one else. But not anymore. You made your choices. You have to live with them. I can't fix this for you. I can't keep being your crutch." There was another silence, longer this time. And when she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. "I wish I could change it, Mom. I wish I could make it right." I closed my eyes, the weight of her words pressing down on me. But deep down, I knew that no amount of wishing would change what had been done. And as I hung up the phone, I realized that the apology I had waited for would never come in the way I had hoped. It wouldn't fix the broken trust. It wouldn't heal the wounds. It wasn't enough. Emma's apology didn't fix anything. But for the first time in so long, I knew I was finally letting go. It wasn't until months later, when Emma had finally started to pick up the pieces of her life, that I realized something. I hadn't just given up on her. I had given up on myself. I had spent so many years being the caretaker, the martyr, always putting her needs first, always being the one to pick up the pieces, always sacrificing my own happiness and peace for hers. And now, for the first time in so long, I could breathe. I was free from the weight of her expectations, free from the constant tug of her demands. But even as I felt the relief settle in, there was a gnawing emptiness inside me, a hole where my daughter used to be. I couldn't ignore the truth that had been lingering in the back of my mind all this time. It came at a cost. The cost of letting go of the woman I had fought for, the girl I had loved so fiercely. My daughter was lost to me forever. I had waited so long for Emma to come around, to finally understand, to finally see what she had put me through. But by the time she did, it was too late. I couldn't go back. I had built my life around trying to fix her, and when I finally stopped, when I finally let go, I realized how much of my own life I had sacrificed in the process. The phone had stopped ringing. The messages had stopped coming. For weeks I hadn't heard from her, and I found myself wondering if she even thought about me anymore. At first, the silence was unbearable. I longed for the sound of her voice, the noise that had once filled the void of my life. But as the days stretched into weeks, and the weeks into months, I began to realize that I hadn't just been waiting for her to reach out. I had been waiting for her to need me again. And then one day, she called. It had been so long that I almost didn't recognize the number. But when I answered, it was her, Emma, sounding so much older, so much more resigned than I remembered. "Mom," she said, her voice hoarse, the weight of everything she had gone through evident in the way she spoke. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I know I've messed up. I know I've hurt you more than you can ever know. And I don't want to keep living like this anymore. I sat in silence for a moment, letting the words sink in. They weren't the words I had expected, but they were the ones I had always hoped for. I didn't know how to respond. I wanted to be angry, to tell her how much I had suffered, how much she had cost me. But there was something in her voice, something in the way she spoke, that made me hesitate. I'm sorry, Mom, she repeated, the sincerity in her voice undeniable. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix things, but I'm trying. I'm really trying. I could feel the lump in my throat growing, the words fighting their way up, but I couldn't speak. I had waited so long to hear her say this, to hear her admit her wrongs. But even as I listened to her apologize, I realized something. It wasn't enough. It couldn't be enough. Not anymore. I hear you, Emma, I said quietly, my voice steady, but cold. I hear you. But you can't fix this. You can't fix what you've done to me. I can't just forget everything that's happened. I can't erase the years of pain, of sacrifice, of betrayal. You can't just walk back into my life because you finally realized what you've lost. She was silent on the other end of the line, and for a moment, I thought she might hang up. But then she spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. I understand, Mom. I understand why you can't forgive me. And I'm sorry. I don't know if I'll ever be able to make up for what I did, but I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. There it was. The apology I had been waiting for, the one I had clung to for so long. But in that moment, it felt hollow. It felt like a shadow of what I had needed. I had spent so many years giving, so many years trying to fix things for her, and now, when I finally let go, it was too little, too late. I can't do this anymore, Emma, I said, the words finally coming out, the weight of them too heavy to keep inside. I can't keep waiting for you to get it. I can't keep letting you use me as a safety net. I need to live my life now. I need to find my own peace. I understand, she said softly. I really do. I hung up the phone, my hands trembling as I placed it back on the table. The silence that followed was different this time. It wasn't deafening like it had been before. It was peaceful. I realized that, for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of her mistakes anymore. But even as I felt the relief, there was a part of me that knew I would never have the relationship with her that I had once dreamed of. She had chosen her path, and so had I. My daughter was lost to me. But in that loss, I found something I hadn't realized I had been searching for: peace. The house is quiet now, quieter than it's ever been. I sit by the window, watching the world move on, while I remain still, feeling the weight of everything I've let go of. Emma is out there somewhere, trying to rebuild her life, just as I am. We are both living in the aftermath of our choices, both trying to find a way forward after the storm. It's strange, this quiet. I thought I would feel relief when I finally let go, when I finally stopped being the one who fixed everything. But it's more like a numbness, a hollow space where a part of me used to be. The pain is still there, lingering in the background, but it's not the sharp, suffocating ache it once was. It's softer now, like an old bruise that doesn't hurt as much, but is still there, reminding me of the past. I'm still here, still standing, and for the first time in a long time, I don't feel like I'm drowning under the weight of someone else's expectations. I've learned that survival isn't just about holding on, it's about knowing when to let go. And now, as the days pass, I realize that I'm not waiting for something to fix me. for someone to come back and make everything okay. The only person who can make me whole again is me. It was hard, but I survived. And that's enough. Thank you for watching. If this story spoke to you, type "I see you" in the comments. Click on the left to watch the next story, and don't forget to subscribe to stay connected. Your story matters,